Mr. Amit Chaudhary from CDAC. His talk will be on the challenges of cyber forensic challenges, techniques, and technologies. So before he starts his talk, uh, let me introduce our speaker with you. Dr. Amit Chaudhary is completed his BE and ME Electronics and Telecommunication Engineering from Jadavpur University and PhD also from Jadavpur University. He worked in industrial or applied applications in R&D for 36 years. His area is instrumentation, ICT systems and services, cyber forensic, etc. He headed 25 large projects, published lots of papers, like around 75 papers, articles. He has visited different countries like USA, Holland, Bangladesh several times for conference training and project need. So he actually retired from CDAC, Kolkata as group head, ICTS in 2019. Presently, he is engaged as an IT or cybersecurity expert in several organizations or institutions. So, sir, here on behalf of Department of IT, MAKAUT, I welcome you in this workshop, final day in this workshop. Sir, you can continue with your talk.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Shaha. I extend my thanks to the organizers also, including Honorable Vice Chancellor, to invite me in this workshop to deliver a lecture, which happens to be the last lecture of this particular workshop. In fact, I had delivered another lecture also on cybercrime in the initial part of the program. Now, today I shall be discussing about cyber forensics, especially the challenges from technical point of view, techniques, and also challenges from the technologies. Because cyber forensics is a subject which is interdisciplinary, and in this cyber world, when we are trying to deal with cybercrime, we need the knowledge of cyber forensics. And let me come to the PPT, but parallelly I'll be also elaborating what I want to say. Share king করাই আছে। So challenges are there in techniques and technologies. We take up.
Sir, kindly reshare the PPT, sir. It is not visible, no, sir.
It is not visible. Okay.
No, sir, please share it.
Okay,
sir.
let me check. Yeah. Is it visible?
Yes, sir, it is visible. Sir.
Okay.
So make it in the slideshow view.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please, sir.
So we have been discussing for the last few days regarding cybercrime, different characteristics of cybercrime. As we all know that cybercrime is something which is dependent on the computers, all kinds of intelligent devices, whether it is a smartphone, whether it is a embedded device, but which has to be connected to the internet. So whatever devices are in the cyber world connected to the internet, it can be a drone, it can be all our social media platforms, it can be a specific technology used for maybe monitoring some industrial plant, whatever kind of device we think of to be connected to the internet, there are threats. Threats from the cyber attacks, and those attacks very often land into different kinds of cyber crimes. Now, in all nations, wherever there is a democratic society, there is a society which is based on a legal system. The governance is basically based on legal system. You cannot just punish someone, or you cannot just identify someone and say that he is the culprit. In fact, if there is any harm to anyone, if there is any harm which is backed by some criminal activity, you have to first analyze whether the particular activity, is at all a criminal activity. And even if it is a criminal activity, how can you prove it? Without any proper proof, without any proper verification, without any proper verification in the court of law, without any judgment by the court that the particular incident is a criminal activity and such individuals or the groups are responsible for the criminal activity. How to prove it? We have to prove it to proper cyber forensics, because forensics is the only science which basically reconstructs the crime scene. Any crime can happen anywhere in the world, but unless the proper forensics is done, the crime cannot be brought to the court of law. The court will ask for the evidence. The court will always ask for evidence which has to be properly presented in the court and accepted by the court. And the particular evidence or particular crime should have a direct relationship with a particular law, which we have been also discussing, that how the cyber law, how the digital evidence, these are also improving in every nation, every society, how to handle the digital evidence and how new kinds of acts are required. Sometimes some old acts are also have deployed to handle cybercrime. There is Indian Penal Code. But at the same time, cyber law has come, IT Act has come, and it is also improving. Based on the situations in the nation, based on the cyber criminal situation in the nation, based on the requirements of the communities, it may be business community, it may be user community at large, it may be any other community who are affected, who want justice. They want to come to court and get justice. Okay, such and such cyber crime has happened to our organization, to our property, or individually we are affected. So we want to get justice. But the court will say, come through the proper procedure. The procedure means you have to report the crime to the police station, and police station has to start investigation, and the investigation report has to come to the court, and then it has to be proved. Even if the police does the investigation in a proper way, the court may not accept it. The court will verify it with proper digital evidence, and that digital evidence has to be extracted by cyber forensics. Cyber forensics is basically evolving subject. Why it is evolving? Because as we find that computer itself is evolving, computer has now merged with communications. So computer communications have come. Now we say information technology. We also say information communication technology. And information communication technology is driven by different hardware components, different software components, different communication modules, different communication techniques, different algorithms, different types of software. Software may be embedded software, it may be application software running in PC, it may be distributed software, it may be a cloud-based service. So many things are there in the information communication technology, but what we need to do is to find out the proper signature of the incident that has happened. Incident means the cyber attack, the way it has affected the machines, including the software, hardware, and whatnot. So when we talk about cyber forensics, we are actually talking about the internal things, computer internals, internal of the software, internal of the hardware, because we want to get into the internal part of the system, whether it's software or hardware, and extract the particular evidence. And during the extraction process, we should see that the original software or original application or original situation should not get distorted, because it is a matter of technique. How you are actually collecting the sample, how you are actually collecting the evidence, and that technique has to be perfectly designed and perfectly deployed. And there are many challenges. I'll discuss those things. Similarly, with the improvement in computer communications, software, hardware, new technologies are to be thought of. These technologies will be ultimately organized in the form of tool. So different types of tools are required. I understand you have gone through, many of you who are following each lecture, social media crime is a typical crime. Either it is Facebook based crime or it is another social media based crime. You have to do investigation in a special manner. And when it is matter with mobile phones, when it is a matter with cell phone, and of course the new generation smartphones, your techniques will be different. The tools will be different. But when you are thinking about a normal personal computer, it has got its operating system, it has got its applications running, it is connected to a network, and it might be in office, it might be in home, it might be in any field setup, and that particular personal computer may be a victim of attack, victim of criminal attack, and may be used for attacking others, used for criminal activity. So the investigation needs extracting something from that particular personal computer, extracting something from the hardware, maybe from the software, maybe from the hard disk, maybe from the other devices, maybe from the connecting devices. So wherever it is possible, we want to find the signature of the crime, so that the actual crime can be initially reconstructed and the proper evidence is collected to prove the crime. And the technology can be challenging because operating systems differ, operating systems are improving, so applications are changing, new kinds of application scenarios are emerging. Present day, we are all dependent on cloud-based services, and those services are of different kinds. It might be software as a service, it can be infrastructure as a service. Everywhere we find that big software companies, big service providers, everyone is using cloud. And now if you want to locate, if you want to pinpoint for investigation any cloud-based crime, it is very difficult. You have to prepare the data centers, you have to prepare the servers, you have to prepare your network in such a manner they will be forensically ready. That is another issue. This is coming. Unless your system, unless your machine, unless your network is forensically prepared, forensic ready, you may not be able to handle different kinds of cyber crimes. So there are different kinds of challenges. Every day new kinds of challenges are coming, and many researchers are deeply into it. To understand the latest technologies, I visited USA, I visited Singapore, I visited some other places also. Many of my team members who worked with me in the CDAC, they are trained in different aspects of this kind of cyber forensics. And in CDAC, there is one resource center that is called Cyber Forensic Resource Center. If you get into www.cdac.in, and then if you can locate that particular resource center which is situated in Trivandrum, you will be coming to know what are the tools available from CDAC for cyber forensics. And new tools are being developed. But still, I should say that whatever tool is being designed and developed through R&D in India, mostly by CDAC, are not adequate. There are different companies in USA, in UK, in Israel. Israel is one of the leading nation where quite advanced research and quite advanced development have taken place in the field of cyber forensics. Now, as I was explaining that cyber forensics is, in a way, it is a knowledge base which is improving, developing. Laboratories are required to perform cyber forensics, to perform the extraction of the digital evidence, and you need proper kind of tools. And if you look at the entire scenario, the requirements may come from the military side or from the normal business and industry side. Day-to-day business operations can be affected by cybercrime. Day-to-day industrial production and manufacturing, etc., can be affected by cybercrime. And critical infrastructure of the nation. It can be a banking infrastructure, it can be a financial infrastructure of other kind, it can be a power sector infrastructure, power distribution infrastructure, it can be water management sector, it can be any other sector which are designated as critical. We call it critical infrastructure. For critical infrastructure protection, the Cyber Security Division of Government of India, Ministry of IT, they are taking special measures, special actions to protect the critical infrastructure. Many of you may know that nation to nation rivalry, nation to nation war, they are being fought in the cyber level, not in the physical level only. In fact, many of the enemy nations of India, they are actively engaged in cyber war with India. But those things are done very secretly, silently. So these are not known to the public or to the media all the time. But India government is ready, Indian military is ready, Indian border security force is ready to combat those attacks, cyber attacks. That's why Indian military has got infrastructure of cyber attack protection and counter attacks also. So the entire requirement comes from different kinds of users of the internet, and every kind of requirement requires a specific kind of research to understand the threats, because these are all digital threats. These are all very silently and in a complex manner they actually attack. So research is required. So there are many researchers who are focused in digital forensics research, and the law enforcement groups, the police, they are the responsible agency to get the information from the citizen. Okay, some cyber crime is happening, or it has happened, it has affected some individual, it has affected some organization. They have to come to the law enforcement groups. They have to come to the police, the thana. There are different cyber police stations are coming. Even if there is not a there is no cyber police station, that particular incident can be reported to the ordinary police station, who will take it up to the cyber thana or the cyber group of the police. They will investigate, and the suspect will be punished based on the nature of the crime. If you see why we call it a challenge, because there are some issues which we need to understand. The first issue is the entire cyber forensics, as we had discussed earlier, different forensics issues, is a multi-domain techno-legal area. It is not that a computer science student, he will in his normal subjects, he will be taught about cyber forensics. But in cybersecurity courses, we are designing different cybersecurity courses for different BTech level students. We are also designing postgraduate cybersecurity courses. We are also designing directly BTech cyber forensics courses or master cyber forensics courses. Even the science students are also learning cyber forensics, cyber security topics, because the entire world is becoming cyber world dominated, and that's why we need cyber security professionals, cyber forensic professionals in large numbers. So there are 4 distinct domains or communities: judiciary, law enforcement, military, business and industry, and a central common domain. That's why we are interacting with the academics, research, where computer, IT, electronics, communication, etc., engineering are essential with respect to the application domains. Some attack has happened through the high-speed network. Some attack has happened through a particular cell phone. Some attack has happened through a specific cloud service. All these things are basically either computer based or communication based or electronics based attacks. So the knowledge domains are basically around these subjects. Some call it computer forensics, some call it disk forensics, some call it memory forensics. These are all different categories, different types, different areas of cyber forensics. Mobile forensics, these are separate areas because each area requires a special kind of understanding. Earlier, it was known as mostly digital forensics. Now it is mostly known as cyber forensics. Textbooks are now available. Earlier, when 10 years ago or 15 years ago, there was hardly any textbook available. Only some manuals and very specific industry books were available. Now, presently, we get good textbooks are also we are getting based on practice and research. And you know the cloud forensics, IoT forensics, smartphone forensics, these are all new areas coming in the area of cyber forensics. That is one challenge. Here, we have to do a lot of analysis. Okay, it can be analyzing the physical media. As I told, it can be hard disk, it can be a small RAM or ROM, it can be any other memory device. So media analysis, code analysis, review of the software modules for malicious signatures. So you need to understand how the codes are organized, how the applications are written, and how you can analyze a particular software module for getting some hints about the crime, linking it with the crime. Then you may have to analyze the network also. You have to scrutinize the network traffic and logs to identify and locate digital evidence. So all these things, as you understand, only computer and IT engineers can perform. It is not the ordinary police. We cannot expect everything from the ordinary police. Unless he has to be a computer graduate, a computer science graduate in some way or other, or he can be a BTech computer or BTech IT, so that he can handle the computer related issues or communication related issues. Now, one thing we have to understand that there might be many cybercrime cases, but only a part of those cases are reported to the police station. Again, a part of those cases are really investigated. Again, a part of those cases which are investigated are really brought to the court. And finally, a small part of those cases are getting sentences. That is the actual situation. Why? Because there are gaps. There are gaps at all levels. The common people, the citizens, they very often do not know whether they are really affected by some cyber criminal activity or not. So if they are not feeling the crime has affected them, they are not feeling that the crime has affected them, how can they come out? And sometimes some cases involving the ladies, involving the girls, they don't want to make it public. Even in the business community, you will find that certain things have happened in some company. They want to keep it a bit private, a bit secret. So things are not reported at all. If it is not reported to the police station, how can investigation start? Even if it is reported, the investigation is impossible because it has been reported after a long gap, or it has been reported in such a manner that all the evidences are lost. Then how can we investigate? Even if you are investigating, you finally do not find the evidence because of the intelligence, or the, I should say, the the special techniques followed by the cybercrime, uh, cyber criminals, because there is something called anti-forensics. If those are there already available with the software, with the software running software, they will actually, not allow you to do any forensic activity. That is something called anti-forensics. So these are the challenges. Now, since I had discussed already about cybercrime, I will just skip some of these. But if you see the scenarios of cybercrime, you can understand how different kinds of technologies are involved in different types of cybercrimes. It is not only one type of technology or one type of situation. If it is a matter of child pornography which has been placed on your web server, that is a kind of cybercrime. And when you find that some senior management computers have been accessed remotely, illegally, that is another kind of technological involvement. If you find that a large amount of encrypted traffic was sent to some media office, Washington Post, for example, the purpose is to jam, the purpose is to creating disturbance in the publishing house. Or if you can go to some kind of ransomware kind of attack, where large sums of money from the bank. Oh, this is a bank fraud. Bank fraud is, say, large sums of money from the bank have been transferred. That is another kind. How to investigate? So every crime, every cyber crime has got its internal challenge of what kind of technique will be deployed to extract the evidence. What kind of technology will be used to extract the evidence? Theoretically, understanding about cyber tools or cyber forensic tools and actually deploying those tools in a real life scenario, there are gaps. You should not be a proper tool handler like a doctor. A cyber forensic expert is almost like a physician or a who has to first study the patient conditions. A lot of investigations the doctor has to take up to diagnose what kind of disease has affected the particular patient. Similarly, when you are talking about cyber forensics, you have to first investigate and understand what kind of cybercrime has happened and how it has affected any individual or any organization and what are the fallouts. Everything you have to understand, and for which you need cybercrime experts, and those cybercrime experts should be backed by a solid knowledge of computer internals, software internals, hardware internals. IT can be a tool of crime. Someone may use some information technology device, some computer or some smartphone or some other thing as a tool of crime. But it can also be an object of crime. The criminal activity might be against some database. The criminal activity might be against some stored software. It may be against some stored soft documents. So, the IT can be object of crime. Then IT related crime or IT content as evidence in traditional crime. Say there is a murder case, there is a suicide case. Who has murdered? Whether it is a murder or suicide, those things may need analysis of emails, analysis of documents available in the computer. And all these things are, you see, IT content as evidence in traditional crime. The murder is a traditional crime. The copyright violation is a traditional crime. But if it is soft copy, it is a copy inside the computer, a document inside the computer, in a file, in a soft form, then it is a matter of cybercrime. In fact, when cyber attacks do happen, the actual system starts behaving in abnormal way. And since one of the important cybercrime attack is malicious code, we all know that different kinds of malicious codes, whether it is virus or worm or Trojan horses, they affect the particular application and you are actually almost paralyzed. So, if you want to really do the cyber forensics, in those cases, you should know what kind of viruses are there and how they are actually presently affecting. If there is no proper antivirus software, then you know that they can affect you. They can affect your system. Now, let me talk about the cyber forensic knowledge, why it is required by the police. Present day police is no more only the people, the professional people who are trained to handle crimes in the physical world. You'll find in many police stations, many police departments, in fact, Kolkata police, say for example, they are now hiring computer engineers. I am in touch with one engineer who has graduated from IT department in MAKAUT, and he keeps in touch with me. He is in Lal Bazar, Kolkata police. I don't know whether he is listening to this lecture, because I know some people who are actually computer engineer or computer science experts. They are deployed as investigators both in Kolkata police or in state police. So it is no more a subject which is something that at times you require a computer engineer. No, full-time computer engineer's job is there, a special type of job. Now, law enforcement agencies sometimes need to prevent the crime. So that time, as the role is to alert the users from some attacks. So you know that ransomware attack may happen. You know that some other, because you are continuously studying the threat intelligence in many of the organizations or many of the government departments. Threat intelligence study is another activity. So based on that, you can alert the users. Very often you need forensic knowledge to conduct investigations, which we are discussing, that how you will go about the case. Though the court will always want the forensic report from some neutral third party, like cyber forensic laboratory. In our country, there are cyber forensic laboratories of the state government, there are cyber forensic laboratories of the government of India. Though those laboratories are authorized to produce cyber forensic reports, like it can be other forensic reports also. and those reports are acceptable by the court. It is not police report. But why police uses cyberforensics knowledge? Because the police department, to go ahead in the investigation process, they have to analyze, they have to extract the evidence and analyze to understand how the crime has happened, and they want to reconstruct the crime scene and more or less pinpoint the suspect, the suspect criminal, the suspected criminal. So sometimes they need it to monitor the cyberspace. Unless you monitor the entire cyberspace, unless you monitor the internet cafes, unless you monitor the internet users in general by different techniques, you will be only landing into crimes. You cannot prevent the crime. You can prevent the crime very often. See, if you find that okay, a new player has come in the internet and this particular service provider or other kind of professional service uh, organizer, they are actually playing with the cyber facilities, not using them properly. Who will monitor? Police has to monitor, because no one else in the country is authorized to monitor the citizens' activity, whether it is leading to some criminal activity. Sometimes police has to take information from the communication service provider or any other kind of service provider. Today there are different kinds of service providers, whether it is internet service provider or it is a normal telephonic service provider or any other service provider. So all these IT service providers need to submit different information. Like one specific information is called data record. So there are three persons who might have plotted certain murder or certain illegal act. Now, by the call data of each one's mobile phone and analyzing them, you can reconstruct how the crime has been organized or planned. So that's why it is very important for the police to study cyber forensics. Now, when you conduct the cyber forensic investigation, there are some levels. Initial level is identification. What kind of crime has happened and its basic characteristics. Say you have lost a lot of important confidential document. That is one kind of crime. You have already lost your software. You have lost your hardware. Everything has damaged by some attack. There is another kind of crime. It may so happen that someone has used your software to hack. You have used your computer to hack some other person's software, some other person's computer, and you are wholly responsible. Now the issue is you have to identify, you have to preserve the crime scene, you have to collect the evidence, you have to examine the evidence, you have to analyze the evidence, and then, as I told, individualization and event reconstruction. Then finally presentation. So all these steps are there to implement cyber forensics. So when there is some incident, some attack has happened, the first responder's duty is to record the crime site, to collect volatile evidence, to image storage media, preserve, protect and seal the evidence, then send evidence to the cyber forensic. Unless you do everything very meticulously, the evidence will not be accepted by the court. Anyone can manipulate the evidence, and then the real culprit may not be punished. So, to apply law, to apply certain provisions of law, you need to have digital evidence properly organized. Documentation part is also important, because with proper documentation only you can establish, by giving logical and informational data in an organized manner, you can prove something. Like first responder means who has first identified any crime scene. He has to coordinate with suspect user, witness, management, system administration, forensic lab, court of law, conduct detailed interrogation, make detailed report. That is the duties of the first responder. And these are all challenges. That is why I am just covering. See, it is not a matter of knowing something. It is a matter of investigation in real life scenario, which vary from case to case. By discussion, by interrogation, you may have to collect the system configurations. You may have to collect the names of the software or tools installed. You can collect the user ID and password. Then you are not going to apply any brute force method or any other specific method to find out what was the password of the machine. So the first responder, the person who has gone there, it might be police, it may be some network administrator, the network team of organization, who are given that authority and to become a first responder. They have to have digital camera, forensic laptop, logbook, then even right blocking tools. These are very important. The right blocking tools are those tools who can collect the data without writing into the target system, writing anything in the target system. There is a concept called write blocking. And so you have to have write blocking tools. You have to safe booting software. You have to have software for voltage data collection, that is live acquisition, storage media imaging, and identifying system configuration. And then some other tools also, and you have to have anti-static bag. If you seize some hard disk, you have to put it in anti-static bag. Photograph of the cyber crime, photograph of the system, lot of notes, whatever is available about the machine and the system. All these things are required, and every hardware or component has to be put in anti-static bag. And physical safety of the evidence components is also very, very important in our country. Now there are certain common mistakes also. Sometimes when the investigator go, they shut down the machine, or the user also can shut down the machine. Sometimes the hardware configuration is not recorded promptly from the crime scene. Sometimes not documenting the data collection process can lead to certain weakness in the entire investigation. And one thing we have to remember, that original digital evidence should not be analyzed. Some challenges are law related, Some challenges are acceptance of digital evidence, that part. Some challenges are data privacy or traffic data disclosure. Some problem is cybercrime preservation. I mean, say one case has been investigated as a cybercrime. Now say after 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, the same case is again reviewed at the court of law. What about the evidences? How we will preserve the evidences, or we may not be able to analyze the evidence. So that is important. So different kinds of know-how, skills and training are important, and we have to be very much cautious to play by rules. And criminals normally do not play by rules. So why perform cyber forensics? To gather pertinent evidence of computer misuse or abuse of computer resources, including other resources as I told already. Or gather evidence in a matter that meets legal standards. Tracking chain of custody, documenting what took place, correlate network and IDS logs. Ultimately, cyber forensics can give a more complete picture of the cybercrime. So, we are almost halfway to this lecture. So, I would come to the next topic, which is digital evidence. And though we have understood digital evidence from one of the lecture, we will discuss this thing as in correlation with cyber forensics and the challenges ahead. So before that, can you take a break for 5 minutes? Prem, are you available? Prem?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can take a break.
Yeah, just we please tell that we'll just take a break for 5 minutes. Then we will again come back. I'll just take a glass of water and come back.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. So, participant, please stay with us for 5 minutes, where we have a break of 5 minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir has taken a break of 5 minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, you are here. Sir?
Ma'am, Giri sir has joined.
Okay.
Hello. Shantanu.
Hi, sir, you are here.
Tell
Okay,
me.
sir.
Hello, tell me.
Sir,
Shantanu.
our speaker has taken a break of 5 minutes.
Okay, okay, okay.
We are in between that.
So, Shantanu, today is last day.
Huh?
So after the end of the session,
So again, can I start?
Yes, Amit sir, Giri sir is with us right now, sir. Shantanu ma'am.
Yes,
Who
sir.
is with us? Professor Giri.
Professor Giri, yes, sir. Giri sir is with us.
Okay. You want to say something, Professor Giri? Do you want to say something, Professor Giri?
Sir, Giri sir, I think he's in hospital, so he's not
Yeah,
able to
yeah.
come.
Okay. Then let us start again. Can I start,
Okay,
friend?
sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. You can start, sir. We have also some questions in the question answer session. We can discuss that later, but already some questions are already being posted. Okay.
Okay. Acha, if can any one of you send those questions to my WhatsApp? So what I can do parallelly when I am giving lecture, I can just see. It is possible.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Please forward the questions to my WhatsApp. Okay, my personal WhatsApp.
Yes, sir.
Please send so that I can take up the questions. I just can look it during my lecture, and then time will not be lost. Okay. So as I was talking about the digital evidence. Digital evidence is the core issue in cyber forensics. What is digital evidence? Any probative information stored or transmitted in digital form that may be used in a court case trial. That is the most important part. Subject to human intervention or not, that can be extracted from a computer or IT system. Must be in human readable format or capable of being analyzed with proper expertise in the subject. So it may so happen that some digital evidence which is being produced to the court of law, the particular lawyer or the particular police investigator, whoever are discussing, they may not be able to clarify all the details. So some computer expert can come and discuss. Say some particular DLL is missing. What is DLL? Or say something inside the code, or maybe something inside the hardware part, maybe something inside the hard disk. So all these technical issues always require some computer expert to be present during the presentation in the court. Recently in Kolkata, there are certain cases. One case was certain, audio video files, certain video files which were used by the court, or rather which were used by the initial process in the proceedings of the court to prove that some political leader has taken some money. Okay, but was it a manipulated video or was it a real video? Who will tell? Only forensic experts can tell. Okay. In fact, I had to, help some judges to interpret the technical issues. So you cannot just take anything from anywhere and say that, okay, this is the digital evidence. In that case, many people will be guilty without actually not committing the crime. So we have to be very, very careful about the digital evidence. It can be a data, set of data. It can be program. It can be volatile. It can be non-volatile. It can be semi-volatile, like a login data, some temporary files, which are semi-volatile. So volatile can be, the data can be in RAM. Say some cybercrime has happened and we need to investigate a machine, but before we come to investigate, the machine is shut down. If the machine is shut down, then all the RAM data are lost. Similarly, if someone is trying to investigate, say, some mobile related data, and now in the mobile, there are a lot of apps. There are in smartphones. You are getting so many apps are open. So many in the machine also. In the machine also, so many websites are kept open. If you just get a picture of the actual scenario, which websites are open, what is the actual status to the screen. So you have to take a screenshot, whether it is from the smartphone screen or all these things are possible if you don't shut down the machine or if you don't switch off the smartphone. So that is important, that the real situation you need to understand. Digital evidence can be found in emails, can be found in digital photographs, we can find it in ATM transaction logs. It can be in word processing documents. It can be in internet browsing history. It can be in call data record. It can be databases. It can be computer backups. It can be in computer memory. It can be logs and from electronic door locks, digital video, digital audio, data from social networking sites, and many, many more. So you understand that the variations in digital evidence are so much, and every kind of variation may require a very special kind of technique. That is the challenge. And some new techniques are to be evolved also to face the new digital systems and their applications. One thing you have to understand, that what are the actual places where digital evidence can reside. It can be inside the logical file system, inside the files, directories, folders, FAT, clusters, partitions, sectors. Because that is only a signature. You don't need a detailed thing. From that you can be, so from the file system, I think one discussion was already there, file forensics. You should be able to understand what kind of programs were run and what kind of applications were run and how far the particular program is responsible for another hampering some other system by launching some attack, maybe some machine. So if you can understand the details of the operations done, analyzing the operating system, analyzing the file system, you should be able to pinpoint, okay, that's the actual crime scene. Sometimes physical storage media are analyzed by magnetic force microscopy to recover overwritten area. The space allocated to file but not actually used due to internal fragmentation, that slack space in the disk can be also a source of information for digital evidence. Now, different kinds of volatile data are there. As I told, that current system date and time, comment history, open files, startup files, clipboard data, logged on users, DLL or shared library. They can be lost if you stop the machine. In a computer network also, the digital evidence can reside in application layer, it can be in transportation layer, it can be in network layer, it can be in data link layer. So you should be able to deploy proper kind of network forensic tools to collect the digital evidence from each layer. So, and that's one challenge. So these are the evidences at the application level. Evidences can be in the web page, evidences can be in the email messages, in the online documents, it can be archive files, and so on and so on. Chat room archive. So these are one kind of evidences. But when we talk about the network systems, the evidences can be on the transport and network layers. All the log files are important, whether it is collected from the particular machine or the host or the particular service provider or the firewall. Every intelligent device you are deploying in a network, log files are there, and through the log files, if you can properly analyze, you'll be understand who was communicated with whom, how long they were communicating, what kind of messages were they, whether it is. So a lot of things can be understood. What was happening in the particular network, what was happening between the individual users, how they are communicating, everything can be analyzed by the analyzing the log files. Evidence can reside in data link and physical layers by identifying the MAC address, by getting the MAC addresses, by getting the IP addresses. Now the most important thing is chain of custody, because you have to actually properly maintain the handover of the evidence. Like you have collected the evidence in some way from some place with some tools. Now you are actually presenting in another uh, time zone, in another physical zone, by through another representative who will maintain the proper interrelation, that it is not manipulated in between. For that, you have to keep photographs. You have to guard against hazards like theft, mechanical failure, protection from external electrical magnetic field. Sometimes your hard disk, everything can be lost by electrical or magnetic field intrusion. You have to make people accountable, okay, with physical or electronic access, with proper signature. Keep the number of people involved to minimum. Accompany the evidence with chain of custody form. The chain of custody form will show that how you are actually making individuals responsible for particular ownership of the evidence. You can use permanent markers for labeling and use of hashing. The hashing technique, you know, it is used for authenticity of the software. This can be used for authenticity of the soft digital evidence. So the chain of custody is this kind of form. It should have all the technical information. It should have details of the digital evidence in the form of prime number, who was investigating, when the digital has been seized from the particular machine, and then finally when you are actually uh, doing something, what kind of action you are taking, and then who has received from whom. all these things to be properly maintained in document. Now I will be coming to the forensic tools. I understand some kind of tools have been already discussed in other lectures. I would not elaborate every tool, but some of the tools I will discuss in detail. Some of the tools I think it has already other lecturers have discussed. It can be hardware tool, it can be software tool. So in the hardware forensic tools, it can be single purpose components, complete systems and servers. Okay. It can be a forensic workstation called Freight. It can be True Imager. These are all brand names and also giving some kind of functionality. Celebrite is basically for mobile forensics. Then new kinds of mobile forensic tools are also coming. True Imager is a CDAC product which basically functions like a forensic workstation, and they actually copy the image. We call it cloning. It's not an ordinary copy. Imaging, forensic imaging, you can say. So that we need not, we need not tamper with the original evidence which is there in the hard disk or in the other memory devices, maybe pen drive. We can just make a clone of the entire pen drive or a clone of the entire hard disk or maybe a part of the hard disk. And then while we are actually doing this imaging, there should be a write blocker so that nothing is written inside. That's very, very important. Now, software cyber forensic tools are Cyber Check Suite, Encase, FTK. Cyber Check Suite is CDAC product. Similarly, NetForce Suite is a CDAC product. Mobile Check is CDAC product. So here some of the foreign tools and some of the CDAC products we have clubbed. But the important thing to know is that new tools are required every 2 to 3 years because new types of technologies have come. Like say for cloud forensics, there is no standard tool so far available, but people are researching world over. Sometimes some are approaching that, okay, when the cloud is actually accessed by the user at the client level, so there we can do some forensics. People are talking about client forensics. Sometimes people are telling that, okay, if the cloud is hosted and the services are accessed from different places, so in the data center itself, if we can actually track the services while the services are being deployed, we can create certain forensically prepared data center. Then that can be our source for digital evidence. So forensic tool is basically acquisition, validation, extraction, reconstruction, and reporting. That 5 steps they follow. This is acquisition, and then during acquisition, as I told you, the write blocking is most important. It can be done at the hardware level, like here. It can be done at the software level also, but it has to be write blocking. Now, integrity of the evidence can be ensured by producing hash values for accessing data or for security. A hash value is also called a message digest. It is a number generated from a string of text. The hash is generated by a formula in such a way that no one will have the same hash value. So this is basically different kinds of hashing algorithms are there, and you can apply different kinds of hashing algorithms to ensure proper integrity of the digital evidence. Okay. Now this is again a a description of the imaging, you get a suspect hard disk, and finally you clone it, image it, forensically you image it using 2-back software into our destination hard disk. Because the original suspect hard disk normally we don't use for analysis because it can be tampered. So it is kept as a permanent uh, display during the court proceedings. Say, when we copy something, we basically take the data, we copy the data. Say, we copy certain things like this, which are actually data. But when we when we clone the thing, we get all the details of the whatever is there in the disk. It can be something which is not used for used by the program, but still it is there. That part also will be coming to the cloned disk, because as we told it, it is not only the matter of copying the data and the program. It is also a matter of getting a total image of the particular hard disk. Even the slack spaces are important. So that's why when we are actually copying, say a PPT or a PDF or a doc software file, we don't only take that, but when we actually clone it, we get the entire picture of the memory space. I'll skip the part called mobile forensics because I think it was discussed in details in another lecture. But call data record is something which is very important for any tracking any use of mobile phone for cyber criminal activity. We need to have call data record. Call data record show all call history, incoming, outgoing, SMS, sent and received, not data, and these are collected from the communication service providers. We also get tower information as from where the calls are originated and received. So again, I am not detailing about these mobile related issues. Come to the next area, that is issue number 2. Issue number 2 is knowledge needs. In cyber forensics, we cannot remain static that one time we are uh, uh, we have developed certain tools, we have understood certain cyber crimes, we have already deployed certain things in the laboratory, so everything is static, we don't need to improve or change. In that case, new types of technologies, new types of challenges could not be handled. Recently, we have found that application of artificial intelligence is increasing in the field of cyber forensics. Why? Because we are actually using knowledge of natural language processing, pattern recognition, or image processing. How we will discuss here. These are the new trends in cyber forensics. In different types of communication, we use human languages. Okay, we have documents written in any language, maybe local language or internationally accepted language. So we have huge kind of textual documents. Here, when we analyze the textual documents, we apply natural language processing. And when we apply natural language processing, basically we need to understand forensic linguistics, because in the natural language processing, the linguist aspects of the particular language, human language, are used by the particular NLP software to decode the meaning of the language. Now, along with the meaning, another important thing is psycholinguistic. Because in the crime analysis or the criminal activity analysis, we need to know that if someone has generated, say, 100 mail during 1 month, by textual analysis of the mail contents, we can find out whether that particular man is linked with a particular crime. There might be certain references, there might be certain hints available in the textual communications. Now, if we go on reading manually, reading one mail, thinking about that particular content, it will take a lot of time. I'm talking 100, it can be 1000. It can be more than 1000, it can be 10,000 in 1 week. So, if we can dump all those emails and then analyze by some natural language processing tool, NLP tool, and find out the features, we might be able to understand whether a particular individual is involved in a particular crime. Even sometimes, say, for example, we develop some software in CDAT that whether a particular case is a suicide or not, or murder. Sometimes we get a lot of suicide notes. By analyzing through some NLP based software, we can say whether it is a real suicide note or it is a fake suicide note. Sometimes some people just create fake suicide notes which can be caught by NLP based tools. Now, another thing is handwriting. The NLP can be applied for soft documents where it is available in the doc files in any machine. But when we are actually trying to analyze some written document, something which is written, it can be a signature also. We need to understand handwriting analysis. Handwriting analysis by software is basically image analysis. It can be also online or offline handwriting analysis. During online, you also know the writing features of your hand, the speed, the inclination, so many other features become important. But when it is offline, it is purely image analysis. And image analysis or image processing is basically one area of computer science which has grown a lot. But now these things can be applied in cyber forensics to analyze whether the signature is fake or not, to analyze whether a particular document is written by someone or not, so on and so forth. And in this all cyber forensics applications, human behavioral aspects or physiological aspects are also utilized. Machine learning algorithms are deployed here. Deep learning is deployed here. Segmentation is deployed here. So new kinds of algorithms are being applied. As as I told, that document forensics, when it is a handwritten document, how we do the analysis? We can authenticate the writer from handwritten documents, or we can analyze the signature and try to understand whether it is real or fake. And several researchers are working globally. In CDAC Kolkata also, some scientists are coming out with some small tools. Already some signature verification tool is being deployed as a security measure. But from the forensic angle, we can call it document forensics. And that is another new area of cyber forensics. As you see that different kinds of written documents are collected from the police departments and analyzed using the document forensics tool. Similarly, the language forensics, which can be a broader domain where you can utilize many psycholinguistic features to understand the particular nature of the letter, whether it is really a suicide letter or not. Because in the suicide letter, you will get certain words or you will get certain textual features which will actually prove that this person was mentally not stable. In cloud forensics, as I told, things can be very complex and research is going on to collect forensic data, to collect digital evidence. Here the issues are evidence integrity, application and software streaming, data states, timestamp and synchronization, shared resources. Some issues are architecture oriented, some issues are data oriented. And if you want to really control cybercrime, you need to understand or you need to manage the cloud-based crimes properly. And for that, one very important challenging area of research is cloud forensics. And since we live in cyber world where actually it is a jungle of network to network components and machines of several kinds. It can be user machine, a small value, or it can be a very complex data center. So forensic extraction becomes very important from all layers. It can be business layer, it can be application layer, it can be transport layer, or network layer, data link layer, physical layer. From every layer, you can get some digital forensic information, and in certain cases, you can get some physical forensic information, and then cross-layer forensic information. When you talk about telemedicine, when you talk about smart home, when you talk about smart city, here we have to play a lot of things on application layer. So technically, it is not only very complex but also very challenging. IoT, Internet of Things. The Internet of Things, are developing a lot are being deployed everywhere, whether it is a smart city type of situation or any other smart system which is deployed at home or at factory or in the roadside. Internet of Things is very, very important that way. But when you do the forensics aspect, the sources of evidence can be home appliances, cars, embedded systems, sensor nodes, medical implants, and SDN switches. So you have to be concerned about development of new tools. Sometimes the forensic layers are at the device level, sometimes it is at the network level, sometimes they are at the cloud forensics level. So different types of models are there for investigation, or rather modes are there for investigation. It can be static mode, it can be dynamic mode. So IoT forensics itself is a very complex area. In real life, what we find that IoT is functional backed by the cloud services. And all these things provide a lot of future forensic challenges. Challenges can be geography-based differences, difference in technological expertise, difference in legal position, difference in judiciary position. Nation to nation, locality to locality, you will find geography-based differences. In addition, we have the issue of recovery and retrieval from tampered disk. So the disk may be burned, the disk may be broken. Okay, can we get something from that? That is another challenge. Can we retrieve from deleted corrupt data from root file, registry recovery, etc.? Can we get the data recovered? That is another challenge. Time lapse in data recovery, retrieval, and the consequences. Say for example, volatile RAM or external influences. So timely action is another challenge. Expertise is one challenge. Efficiency, one challenge. Countermeasure tackling, one challenge. Data recovery, another challenge. And the forensic software tools are, deployed so that you cannot do the forensics. Now, bandwidth challenges are there. These are all technical challenges. Lack of strict norms, lack of multiple central agencies, lack of integration across departments, domains, lack of digitized records. Though it is now in more or less stable condition, but there are still bandwidth challenges. Lack of focus to develop forensics as a field of skill and expertise, degrees, certificates, and skill trainings. Lack of awareness and trainings about modern techniques, advanced software methodologies. Lack of continuous review to understand system lags, plan for updates, and ensure compliance with monetary standards. Many of the users of computer of the present generation do not properly know about cyber forensics basics. So we'll discuss, we have been discussing these challenges, and we will discuss a bit of more issues. Computer forensics is the equivalent of surveying a crime scene or performing an autopsy on a victim. So the actual functional areas are original data handling, evidence management, critical parameters like quality control. Original data handling is also important. So these are the resource challenges. Now let us discuss some challenges in handling smartphones for forensic studies. Smartphones operate through interworking of operating system layers because layers depend on each other. Applications written by a third-party developer can access specific OS layers and as a result tamper with a file system and erase digital evidence. Other applications could deliberately delete important artifacts like messages or logs to hide digital footprint of a crime taking place in a smartphone. So these are the challenges, these are the issues in handling smartphones. If you talk about the data tampering, a smartphone in order to hide data can have a self-destruction mode inbuilt in the SIM card that is retained and therefore can corrupt all data inside. So that's the issue. You will not be able to do the forensics. If the particular self-destruction kind of feature is there. A smartphone needs special handling of removal of SIM, battery, by removal of SIM, battery, etc. and analysis in a dedicated space. Now beyond ISPs, use of remote devices to log in to Wi-Fi and other sources. ISPs can only help trace when the route was used to send message data. In case the SIM was removed and the attacker used Wi-Fi network or used a stolen phone where the earlier messaging is not to be traced, it needs a dedicated device. In fact, the Wi-Fi based communication is always that way a matter of risk. Okay, so you cannot identify the actual culprit. So there are challenges handling smartphones for forensic studies. Now handling data and evidence management challenges. Can the information in the chain of custody form prove the continuity of evidence? Is the information present in the chain of custody form known by acceptable by all the parties present? Very often not. Can the process of evidence management help determine the following? Being able to determine which evidence came from which piece of hardware, where that piece of hardware was retrieved from, documenting all persons handling the evidence, ensuring secure storage of the evidence with limited accessibility, documenting all processes used to extract the information, ensuring that those processes used are reproducible and would produce the same result. So evidence management challenges are very important, and almost 80% of the forensic findings are challenged and not sustained on grounds of improper handling of evidence. That's why evidence management is very critical for success of forensic investigation. Legal and jurisdiction challenges are cultural sensitivity, understanding of crime, and increased corporate protection. So you cannot go inside the corporate machines and corporate software. That is one challenge. You have to understand the crime properly. That is another challenge. And there are cultural sensitivities. That is another kind of challenge. The cultural sensitivity can be of different types. But if those sensitivities are there, it is very difficult to take up the challenges from the legal angle. See, difference in laws on privacy and evidence are there. Difference in perception and interpretation, that is there. Refusal by corporate or security agencies to decrypt or give details. So these are another kind of challenge we are referring. To understand the position of digital and cyber in India, a combined reading of the Cyber Indian Evidence Act 1872 is required, along with the International Technology Act 2000 and Indian Penal Code 860. However, despite the same, remains a few challenges are there unsolved and delay and hamper the smooth functioning of the judiciary by dealing with cases. So, from the judiciary point of view, there are certain challenges. Lack of specialized courts. It can be in future. We can have a special type of courts for cybercrime. One specific challenge for the judiciary regarding cyber crime or cyber forensics is that how do you preserve the digital evidence for years? Because say you are actually trying to preserve a piece of software which runs in certain version of Windows. Say after 20 years, if that version of application, the version of operating system is not at all available, then how we will run certain application software? That can be one challenge. Then to preserve the digital evidence, you need storage media. Now the question is, how long you can really store something in a storage media? There is natural distortion, natural erosion, and within a few years, everything can be lost. So discussions have started to develop a network of all small, big cyber forensic laboratories, and then from those laboratories, whatever digital evidence will be available, they would be specially preserved, and that preservation will apply some of the digital preservation techniques. Because unless it is done, if the operating system is not up to the mark, many of the applications may not run at all. Many of the cybercrime cases may then not be heard by the judges because actually you have spoiled the time. So there are different issues in that judicial perspective also. And technologically speaking, cyber forensics is a strong area of IT, computer or software knowledge and its application, because it is highly practical, and if you can really do the extraction or other important activities. So basically, I would like to conclude my lecture here, and before that, one question is there. Let me discuss some of the questions. What is special about the virus codes so that it infects other computer systems? See, virus is basically not one type. There are different kinds of computer viruses, and every kind of computer virus has got its unique way of distorting or affecting software. So here we cannot discuss every technique, but one thing is sure, that viruses are basically software codes, and the codes are written in such a way that, say, when you are putting it in a particular system, the virus can distort the basic operation of the application, or the basic operation of the file system, or the basic operation of the application software, by putting some auto mode codes. Say you want to run some code, and if it so happens that that code you want to run 2 times, but the particular virus has changed the program in such a way that it will be running continuously for, say, 1 hour. Similarly, it can just allow to generate lot of rubbish data which will paralyze certain part of the function. So there are different kinds of targets by different types of viruses, and there are specific, we can organize some special lectures on virus. Next question is from Himadri Shekhar Giri. A cyber attack has been performed on a system, and the system gets corrupted and crashed totally. There is only one way to resolve, is to hard or factory reset the system. After performing hard reset, how a cyber will understand what type of attack has been performed by the attacker? No, that's why I was telling. It is not possible to understand about the attack if you start analyzing after the attack has already tempered everything. So basically, that's why there are techniques which have come. You can actually predict, or you can actually prevent, or you can actually foresee what kind of attacks can come and how they can come, and then you can take proper measure that everything is not paralyzed. So you have to understand that there is still weaknesses around the computer-based crime, that if you damage something, all the damages will be recovered. May not be. It depends on the quality of the damage and quantity of the damage. Then you can recover. Storage media imaging is just imaging from anything like hard disk, like your any storage media. It can be from your pen drive. All these are from storage media. So these are the storage media imaging. So I think these are the questions which have come, and to sum up, I want to say that in this particular workshop, we had planned to give a total exposure of cybercrime and post cybercrime technical activities. Post cybercrime technical activities are mostly cyber forensics, whether it is forensic analysis or pre forensic investigations. In both the types, different types of techniques and technologies are to be deployed, and which require specific studies and skill development, so that using proper tool, the forensic data is extracted in the form of digital evidence, and that digital evidence is finally used by the court of law. So in one way, cyber forensics is a subject which requires knowledge about the computer internals and the knowledge about communication processes, the knowledge about different kinds of cybercrime processes, because cybercrime again is a process. It is just not a very simple thing. It is a very specialized process. You have to understand that cybercrime process. Unless you understand the cybercrime process or cyber attack characteristic, you may not be able to target the right kind of location or right kind of device or subsystem for proper forensic analysis. And in the forensic analysis, we have already seen that expertise is being developed in different organizations, including CDAC, and Government of India has got, as you all know, ICERT as the apex organization who can guide all the people, including people from security profession, people from physical security profession, and network administrators of all types who need to protect the organizational network. With this, I thank again the organizers. I extend my deep respect to the Honorable Vice Chancellor and all who have made this particular program successful. Thank you very much. I hope I can conclude here.
Thank you, sir. We are
Yeah.
really overwhelmed to thank Dr. Amit Chaudhary to open up the avenue and pathways of research on the cyber forensic related issues with his illuminating technical session. It has been nice interactive session, and it reflects the fact that our respected participants got technically involved in today's technical session. So we are really thankful to you that you give your time to us in spite of your tough time. We're really grateful. So we have reached at the end of our workshop. Now it is time to acknowledge the contributions and support received that lead this workshop a grand success. It's my privilege to have us to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. So I am Shardani Shah on behalf of Maulana Abul Kalam Azad University of Technology, West Bengal, and the organizing team. would like to express our profound gratitude to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, Professor Dr. Shoikat Moitu, sir, who always encourage us with all his fearless ideas and guidance. Thank you, sir. I would like to extend my hearty vote of thanks to our eminent speakers to take out their time from their busy schedules and share their knowledge and opinion with us. A very big thank you to Dr. Amit Chaudhary from CDAC to share his with us such a relevant topic on the cyber forensic challenges, techniques, and technologies. Your talk on such an area is surely going to immensely help our audience. I am grateful to the entire workshop team for organizing such a series of events in such a smooth way, especially to Mr. Prem Kumar for all your efforts and supports. We are very fortunate to have such an encouraging and enthusiastic audience. I would like to thank all our participants. Thank you for being with us throughout these sessions. Hope these sessions are really helpful for every participants here, all students, faculty, researchers. You are encouraged with such contentful talk. I would like to thank our coordinator of this workshop, Dr. Devashish Giri, the associate professor of this department from MAKAUT. Your constant effort and engagements makes this workshop a successful one. Wish your father speedy recovery and yours also, without whom these sessions will not be possible. Last but not the least, I would like to thank our HOD Madam Dr. Somdatta Chakraborty, uh, who always supports us and encourage us to go ahead with all our activities. Participants, for your information, the feedback link and the certificate link is provided here in the chat box. You will get your certificates. Please copy the link. So thank you once again, and very good
Thank
night.
you.